to the bottom of it with your host, Joshua Moriarty.
G'day, how you doing everybody? Nice to have you back for another episode of The Bottom of It. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for being here. Now I'm going to get straight into it today. No mussing, no fussing, no idle banter, just right to the goods. Today's guest is drumming legend Joey Waronker. I call him a legend because I really think he is. For those of you who aren't familiar with Joey, I'll list some of his credits to paint a bit of a picture for you. He most recently just finished up a 21-month tour as the drummer for Roger Waters, doing that ginormous Pink Floyd show. I don't know if any of you have seen that. It's huge. He's playing to 15 to 20,000 people most nights. When they were doing bigger stadiums, it was getting to 50 or 60,000 people. Ginormous shows. So, you know, he's got the stamp of approval from Roger. Now he's the drummer in Atoms for Peace alongside Flea and Thom Yorke. I'm sure you know who those guys are. He's played on a whole bunch of Beck's records and was Beck's touring drummer for years. He's played with R.E.M, with R.E.M, with the Finn Brothers. He's done studio work for Rufus Wainwright, David Byrne, the Doobie Brothers. The list of credits is mental. Now, I met Joey about a month or so back through a good buddy of mine named Tony Buchan. Tony's a excellent producer. He lives in LA. He's from Australia, but he moved over there a little while ago, and he's worked with Joey a bunch over the years. And Tony and I were just working on a tune together and invited Joey down to whack the tubs, and it was just such a joy to watch Joey work. He was incredibly forthcoming and affable, no ego or anything like that, just a super cool, chill guy who played exactly what the song needed, which is such a talent. It was really amazing to watch him in action. So yeah, we had a good old ramble about all sorts of things. We talk about Breaking Bad, being a drumming gun for hire. I think there's a pretty serious, good old chat about parenting. I have far too much to say about parenting for someone who doesn't actually have any kids. But anyway, you can endure that. I'm pretty sure we talk about drumming at some stage. Yeah, it's got to be in there, right? Anyway, that's enough patter from me. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Joey Waronker. Enjoy.
The Black Mirror. The Black Mirror. I'll just go like this.
I think that's what Black Mirror is named after. Oh, yeah, that's what it's about. The Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I know. We bought like kind of the last super nice plasma TV.
How long ago?
Now it's been years. I want to say 5 years ago.
What are people getting now?
Now they just get projectors, and I'm like, we don't really watch. TV.
Like they actually have the proper projector thing projecting onto their screen.
I think they're super cheap. And they're kind of
a lot
portable.
of admin, a lot of like you got to nail it to the wall and pull the screen down and everything.
You're probably right, but I was thinking like we don't really watch TV, so it would be amazing to be like, oh my god, there's no TV, and then we just like bring out a screen when we want to actually watch.
If you can just pull it down on the stick or whatever, the handle,
like
and then roll it away when you're done,
yeah.
And then have a nice painting behind there in its place.
Absolutely. Or I suppose you could get fancy and maybe like mount it on the wall, like you wouldn't really know it was there, but you could pull it down.
I find a lot of people are not really watching their TV anymore, but that's not to say that they're not watching TV on their laptop or Netflix or everything else.
Yeah, people watch way more probably.
Is this your kind of, when you come off tour, do you binge watch things, or that's more of a tour thing?
It's funny, I don't watch
at
anything.
All. How do you talk to people about what's going on?
I know. I just am never interested when I'm. I don't know. I just never do it. I would watch, like the last time I was traveling and I watched something was what's the show about the dude who makes crystal meth too? That Breaking Bad. Such a fantastic.
It's a good one.
Show, but it was really like I just found myself walking around as if I was in the show.
Yeah, 6 seasons. That's sort of a month if you're not going crazy watching it all the time.
Yeah,
with it just permeating your existence. You dream about it.
Yeah,
it's everywhere.
Yeah, I decided it was not good for me.
I had that a lot with The Sopranos when I would watch it.
So yeah,
thought I was in there. I'd be like, "Oof, Maron," saying shit like that, getting kind of a little bit angrier. And I think Larry David had the same effect on me when I watched a lot of Curb.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Everything becomes
Yes.
like a Larry David. Although, I feel like my life is a Larry David season.
Well, you've been living in what, LA your entire life?
Yeah.
Do you know Larry?
No, I met him like once, like shook hands, but I know Jeff Gardner.
Right. I like
He's
Jeff.
really great. Yeah, he's so funny.
That's his name on the show, is his real name in reality?
Yeah, I guess so. Is he Jeff Gardner on the show?
Maybe
He's
it's not
definitely-
Gardner.
he's
Maybe it's
definitely
something
Jeff.
very similar to that.
Yeah, I'm so bad. I haven't seen it now in a long time.
They did a new season. Someone told me maybe it's lost a little bit of its luster, or maybe it's that politically and socially we have changed a lot in a very short amount of years,
Yeah.
and maybe the new season wasn't quite on point, or felt like he was just a irascible. I mean, he's always been an irascible old man,
Yeah,
but maybe some of the gags now weren't flying in the same way. I'm not sure. I didn't watch it. I doubt it. I'd like to think Larry's still pretty on point and can get away with saying most things, can't
yeah, I know. I mean, I'm definitely talking out my ass.
he? Please,
But,
that's what we're here for.
However, no, I feel like it's like kind of the worst time ever for comedy because
But the ones
you
that
can't
aren't,
fucking say anything.
the ones that aren't afraid
yeah,
seem like they're even more badass and hilarious than they've ever been.
okay, I need to pay more attention.
You've got to watch a little more telly, maybe. Get on Netflix.
Yeah, who should I be watching?
I quite enjoyed Joe Rogan's latest stand-up.
Oh,
I've never seen him do anything but be the host on Fear Factor or whatever it was all those years ago. And then
Right.
he has the hugest podcast, which makes mine feel tiny and small and insignificant. But I have to let that go.
Well, he is like the king of
Yeah, him
that's
and
how-
Maron, I guess. But I feel like he's sort of dominated Mark Maron a little bit. Maybe because his are on YouTube as well, Joe Rogan's.
Maybe, yeah, I should pay more attention. I don't.
I don't know. What are you paying attention to then?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of like stuck in my own childhood. So, like, recently, I have introduced my 6-year-old to Steve Martin, which is
Okay.
completely inappropriate, but I don't give a fuck.
What films did you start with?
We haven't done any films. I showed him a few scenes of The Jerk, and then I realized just how kind
Is
of
that an early one?
The Jerk is, yeah, this like 19, I don't know, I'm gonna guess 77,
Right.
like the beginning.
I feel like when we were 6 or 7 in all those years, those films were on the, we were watching the movies.
We were probably watching them.
But is the Jerk's a film or is that a stand-up thing?
It's a film.
I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
It's really great, but of course, the first thing that I showed him was about him naming his dog Shithead. Which is, I mean, I'm trying to kind of like downplay like the taboo of swear words and make them like not
Where would you draw the line with your kid? Cunt.
cunt for sure. Even
Yeah.
though I know that doesn't have the same
It's
kinda
lost a little bit of
punch
its power.
in LA, or at least, but yeah, I mean, he loves to say fuck. That's like his favorite.
And he doesn't get
Yeah.
chastised for it. You just sort of don't make it seem like it's a big deal, so maybe he stops saying it.
I think we got annoyed. We finally got annoyed at the new phase of potty talk.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, and it took me a while. My wife got over it pretty quick, but for 6 weeks I was, like he would say poop, fart, and I would laugh uncontrollably. It took me 6 weeks to be like,
For that gag ran
actually
thin.
really like over and over again is just too much. But I guess they're testing boundaries or something.
Are you... So just the one kid, 6 years old. Boy?
Yeah. Boy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like the most overbearing like parent of a single child. Like,
Are you going to have another one?
no.
That seems to be a lot more common these days.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and we're both a bit older, my wife and I. So, and I've had kind of like a crazy life of traveling and all that. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the one, and then now it's like, oh my God, this is everything. Like that poor kid must feel.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing my brother and I do when we converse with each other, we don't talk very often. He lives in London, but once every 3 or 4 months, we're talking a little more now. Not that we're not close or anything. I'll just be like, remember when Dad told that racist joke, that Rasta joke when we were 8 or something? But, oh, that was terrible. Yeah, just like corroborating our stories from when we were younger. Wow. And I imagine with the only child, I wonder when they grow up, is it all a dream? Like who validates what they remember?
I know.
But you're gonna put a spin on it.
Oh yeah, no.
I know. I never made that racist joke.
I never did that. No way.
Of course not.
Or you're taking it out of context.
Completely.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
Is there cousins around, or
there are cousins, and like they're all close in age, but we're not like super duper tight. Okay. But he has contact. But yeah, I don't foresee, like, it's not the same as a sibling.
No, I don't think so. But if they don't know any different, it doesn't really matter, does it? Maybe they create a whole fantastical world of their own.
I think so, and the one thing that brings me a little bit of comfort is, well, I figure he's growing up with a lot of only children. Like you were saying, there's a lot of kids that he's around who are in a similar situation.
You have to teach them to share a lot more, I think, don't you, when they're an only child? I have no idea. I'm just making this is all conjecture and speculation. I don't have any children.
No, I know. It depends what you're, It's so funny having a kid now, too. It's like, well, wait, you got to do it this way or that way. And some people will say, like, oh, no, sharing's like an unconceivable concept. Like, you're just punishing a child by trying to, put this concept of sharing on blah, 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 blah. It's been interesting.
You're happy with the way you were raised?
Oh, yeah, overall.
Because that's usually what you kind of go on. Like, what did my parents... You just tweak a little bit what they did, right?
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm going to go backwards. No. I love my parents, and they're great, but they were, they were definitely like not like, oh my God, I'm going to model myself after how they.
So then you model yourself after what they didn't do.
Didn't do. But frankly, I feel a little bit like, oh my God, I'm out in outer space. Like I'm not really sure what to do or not to do.
I think that's always been the case with parenting. And just existing, really.
It's a better place to be than like, oh man, I really need to like catch up to my father, or like, I'm trying, like, I think I, sort of have come to terms with like, oh God, I need the validation of my parents, and it's fine, but whatever. They weren't perfect. They were young though, like. They were
all young men, weren't they?
They were all young.
I think my mum was 19 or 20 when she gave birth to my brother, and then I was a few years later. But yeah, that's quite inconceivable now, isn't it?
That doesn't seem... Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends where you live, really, but definitely here, that in most major cities, there's no chance.
If they're 20, they're like trailer trash or something, eh? If they've had a child, like, come on.
Oh my God. Totally. I mean, I feel that, yeah, totally. Wow. And did your, like, was she like, oh my God, I'm a mom, or was...
I just think back then what my brother would have been born in, is it 79 or 80? I think it's 80, 1980. Just what was going on back then. I think people would leave school at 15, be married by early 20s and having kids. Spit them out. Old school.
So heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously we all decided not to do that. No, but I had a funny one the other day at his my kids' school in kindergarten, they have a thing that they call mystery reader, where like a parent gets assigned a day and they sneak in and like read books to the class. It's cool. And I came.
There'd be a few celebrity appearances then, wouldn't they? If it's LA. Rivers Cuomo.
It's like in LA.
The secret mystery speaker today.
Yeah, everyone's like, but these kids, the first thing that they asked me was, "How old are you?" And I told them, and they're like, "Wow, you're really old." Like, wow, my dad's 40. I thought he was old. My dad's 42. I thought he was old. You're really old.
That's quite, yeah. They don't know that they're sort of hurting you a wee bit inside.
The teachers were like, "Well, you know, it's hard not to be honest when you're
You
6.
seem youthful though. If you stay around in the music industry long enough, you kind of remain a child a wee bit, don't you?
I think so, yeah. And then now I'm learning, like, having a kid when you're older, like that, you're forced to stay a little bit younger. So
I remember meeting your dad 5 or 6 years ago with Kimbra.
oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. He came to dinner at was the guy Andy who used to work at Warner or maybe still works there? We were at dinner at his house.
Oh, okay, right, because I met him. He was like, he signed her
Yeah, I think that
Like
was
a-
what was going on. Yeah,
way back.
way
in the
back.
day.
Yeah, your dad was telling me some story about Rufus Wainwright and something in the studio. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Quite excited. You got your Austin City Limits t-shirt on.
I've got my Oh yeah.
I was watching the Atoms for Peace 2013 performance. Is that right?
2013. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Oh, thank you.
So cool. I know of that band, but I never really checked it out in too much detail. But the live show was impeccable.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's a nice gang of guys you've got there.
Yeah, it was so fun.
How long did you do that for?
We did it. God, what did we do? When did we probably started it.
It said on the internet, told me when the Eraser came out in 2010, sort of a band existed in some capacity.
Yeah, I was going to say like probably end of 2010 or beginning of 2011, and then we did a few shows, and then we did the Atoms for Peace record, and then went on tour for that. And
It's quite fun watching Thom Yorke and Flea like bouncing off each other on stage.
Oh man,
It's slightly bizarre to see them, and actually that makes perfect sense once you
see
witness it. Yeah,
Yeah, I was very. I was like, felt like I had to really get my energy level up. Those guys are like, Flea is amazing. It's amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing. Like, I'm like, how are you playing that and jumping around?
I guess he's been doing it for so long. The bass is sort of locked onto his body. But even with Thom Yorke, he's wiggling and wailing, and his voice still sounds perfect.
Yeah,
Every time as well.
yeah, and it's really natural with those guys. I mean, that's just kind of what their instinct is. But I love it 'cause they my tendency would be to, I don't know, be very sort of serious and focused and really want to like give the most and all that. And those guys were both like that, like, taking like an hour or two before the show to get in the zone.
What warm-ups and
Warm-ups and whatever, like.
what's the sort of... Because I've noticed with a lot of the bigger bands, they'll have... This is an absolute dream of mine, is to have a jam set up backstage so that you can actually play a few songs before you go on. So
The
everyone's
best.
hot, yeah.
Oh, completely.
But you can't really do that when you're playing at the local pub. You sort of take the acoustic into the toilet.
Right.
That's about it.
Right, you can't have like the little like jam setup. I know that is like That is so cool.
Is that happening was that happening on the Roger Waters thing? Do they have...
No, he kind of had his own thing too. Like he would, get ready before the show, but he didn't want to do any of that
With everybody else.
with everyone else. Yeah. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
He can do whatever he wants.
He knows, and there was kind of like a level of also kind of seriousness. Like I think we all wanted to rise to the occasion, which was very cool. Like it never felt like, like, oh God, we're doing this again. Which we were, it was like the same show.
How many? You said it went for quite some time. What, 18 months or something?
21.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty long, and I think it was 157 shows. So that's
crazy.
I mean, a good amount. I know people do more in a shorter amount of time, but
You must have had it pretty dialed by a number 157. Maybe it starts sort of going backwards. It's dialed by 80, and then it starts petering off.
Yeah, the interesting thing that I experienced was that at a certain amount of time, at a certain point, you start going into autopilot, and then that's when you make mistakes. So then you actually have to recalibrate and get focused, and then it started getting better again, which is very cool.
I was watching there's sort of dodgy YouTube videos of it playing in Russia, and then I think it was a Colombia one, but the shows are huge. What it had, like 50,000, sometimes more. What kind of?
Yeah, it was kind of all like
be different everywhere. Obviously.
Yeah, it was designed for like indoor arenas, so that would actually be places that would hold like 15 or 20,000 people, but then the stage would take up kind of the back of the arena, so it would end up being like 12 to 15,000 people.
Okay.
And then it got kind of a secondary visual design for stadiums, so that we could play like Hyde Park to 100 or whatever it was. I think it was 65 or 50,000 people, something like that. And then throughout South America on our very last tour, it was all giant stadiums.
That is wild.
It was cool, yeah. It was. I thought it would be, I'm like, how can this be good, basically. But
once you get it to that size, how does anyone kind of connect with it a wee bit? No, it's such a spectacle.
So great.
Yeah.
Too. It's such a spectacle, and now I guess you can be in a giant stadium of 50 or 65,000 people, and the sound is amazing, and
it sounded good on YouTube on the iPhone. If it sounds good on the iPhone, it must sound incredible when you're there.
Yeah. So I would never got like reports of oh my God, this sounds terrible. Is always the opposite.
Does the show? Do they develop it as they go in terms of little jammy tweaks and things, or is it pretty regimented? This is the measures of every section. And
I'm gonna lie down.
Yeah, go on, kick back.
No, you know what?
It's now a really psychology session.
Totally
perfect.
Oh my God,
so LA.
It was kind of a weird combo because Roger would watch and he'd get a USB stick with the show videotaped, and he'd watch and listen. Almost every show. Almost every show.
He must have always been that fastidious then throughout his entire career.
Yes,
I would say that makes sense.
That's the word. And so he would make notes and present them, and we would address stuff at sound check, and that went on through the tour. It was pretty cool. But I mean, they were definitely smaller tweaks.
Yeah, of course.
Because the set never changed. The only thing that changed were encore songs. So it was 157 identical shows.
It's kind of like being on Broadway or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But even in the constraints of the script there's always room for improvisation in some kind of way. You just, yeah, that is very interesting like that. It is still all scripted, but
No, it was very interesting for me being, like a rock musician basically, and like improvisation is key. And I mean, as a drummer though, there's room to change stuff, which I, and I just tried not to, like I would pick my moments, and it, it was like kind of kept me focused, that I was like, I've got to try to make it a little bit different every night, and keep trying to like find ways to elevate it. So that was my little sort of game that I played.
Was Nick Mason a guy that you grew up listening to?
I kind of, when I was growing up, it was mainly, I really only listened to The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of came late to the Pink Floyd game.
Is that a different guy on that by that stage? I was just assumed Nick Mason was a drummer from Pink Floyd, but I haven't done my research.
Oh, no, he
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, I don't know. Yeah, I just thought of it as iconic, but I was never like I was a fan of, as a child, I was a big fan of John Bonham from Led Zeppelin as a drummer. And then the bands that I like, and I mean, I know I grew up learning with The Wall, but I never thought like, who are these people in Pink Floyd or something?
Yeah, sure.
And then when I was in my 20s, I kind of like discovered Pink Floyd. So it was later. But yeah, I was always from my 20s, I was more of a fan, but not like a crazy, not like...
I'm sort of the same. I'm definitely not a crazy fan, but full respect and dig those records.
Love them, exactly. But I never, because people go really deep with that stuff. It gets pretty intense.
People go deep with lots of stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like my going deep's long gone. Maybe by sort of 25, all my going deep was over.
Yes.
You start to realize that you're just becoming a weirdo and obsessing over... It sort of should just be about vibe and music and becoming your own musician. Instead of being obsessed with what those guys used or what they did and everything like that.
I know, I was definitely like that until, probably late 20s or something.
Yeah, I'm lying. Mine was probably late 20s too.
Can't do it anymore. But I did have a, tendency to go there. But yeah, I'm trying to think. That was mostly, 18 to kind of 25, obsessing deeply.
It's good for you. It's sort of like going to college or university. It's your own personal study of obsessing over certain elements of music.
So true. That is so true. I know, because I would read books, and I was so obsessed with the Beach Boys when I was in college, and then Brian Wilson, and then he's this, sort of such an intriguing character, and then that leads to like, okay, well, who are the other flawed geniuses? Oh my God, there's Syd Barrett, and there's whoever else. Nick Drake was a big one for me.
Oh, it's not that much drums on the Nick Drake, eh?
I know, but those records
there
cool.
are, but
I know, but but I was never.
So you wouldn't be that into it. John Bonham. Just listen. It is funny with. I mean, guitar was my thing.
Yeah.
From a teenager, so I was definitely obsessed with so many guitar bands. And then, like we're saying, as you sort of get older, you just become way more into songwriters and vibes, and it stops being about someone doing chops over the top of music.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know, and that was I know, it was kind of like, I definitely want to be a musician, but I don't want to be like a jazz fusion or...
Yeah. Well, looking at your sort of list of credits yesterday, it seems like a lot, not all of the time, but it's kind of, you're saying you're a rock guy, but for the most part, it's not too rockin'. Listening to Air and then looking at Waronker and Beck and things like that, it's by no means chill, but it's not overly flamboyant, is it?
No, it's pretty, for the most part, low-key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss getting to flex, do some drum summits and play a solo for 20 minutes? Are you doing that stuff? Do they invite you along?
What's that?
To all of those drum conferences and things, and you get to shred for a little while.
Oh yeah, no, I don't have the. I've never been invited actually, but I don't have the constitution for it. I would avoid like the plague, I think. I'm thinking of it, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm less of a kind of old curmudgeon. I think now I would be more, if I could,
So you've become less of a curmudgeon as you've gotten older.
I think so. I think I'm a weirdo. Like, that's probably having a kid when you're old. Maybe. But I like the idea more of like, oh, well, I could have experiences to share, if I can help anyone. That sounds kind of arrogant, but whatever.
Not at all. Not at all. You've done some stuff. People are interested. I mean, we're here, we're chatting. I was interested to hear what your take on everything is,
Thank you.
Yeah, there's insight in there. You'd be around that much. I mean, you've been around some of the great artists of the last 20 years,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
I know. I feel so lucky to have, and I love it. Yeah, it's been like, wow, what a great, here I was trying to be a drummer, and I realized I'd be paying to play drums if it hadn't have worked out to be my profession.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. And
has it all just kind of been every gig comes through another word of mouth thing through friends and everything like that? That's how it works?
For sure.
That's
and
a pretty
then
sweet deal. Being here a lot as well definitely helps, doesn't it? Because there's just so much going on.
There's just so much going on, yeah. And you're like, I know that's a big deal. Like, you're out, whatever. You're a kid. When I was, in my whatever 20s living here, and I would just go out to get a drink or whatever. It would be like, a who's who of.
It still is.
Yeah, it's just everyone's. Or a lot of
Always.
people are here and in other cities, but really. It's good. It was good in that respect for me, for sure. But I mean, I went through. I was definitely ambitious. It's like,
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. I need to keep cruising upward. I can't get stuck in a. And I look back on that. I'm like, God, I wonder. I mean, it's all, no real regrets, and all these great things came out of it. But it is interesting to me. I'm like, that was all born out of. Sort of insecurity and just ambition. Like, I need to be better. I need more.
It is powerful. Those are powerful tools to keep you motivated.
Yeah,
Definitely insecurity sometimes. Like, fuck, I've just got to work even harder.
yeah. I'm like, why am
Got to
I
practice that double paradiddle for 4 hours today.
It's like, why am I not? I don't know. But which was, in hindsight, is ridiculous. It's like, oh, you're playing with all these great people and things.
And they
are going
like
so
what you're doing.
They like what you're doing, and you're like being ambitious. But, I was whatever. I was worried about my future.
Yeah.
I made decisions.
I guess that's, the musician life a little bit, really. The job security is terrible.
Yeah, I did that thing where I kind of, and I regretted, like, why aren't I in a huge band being
This is
huge?
one thing that I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
Have you had your own project with friends or whatever that was going to be the big band that you were going to take over the world with?
Yeah, I was in a band in college, and yeah, we were like.
What's that? Is that Walt Mink? Is that
That's right. Oh, good. You've really done
Good
your homework.
research.
Good.
Yeah.
And it was, we were going to take over the world.
It's very college mentality.
It was a college
You
mentality.
kind of need it a little bit, though, I think, when you're starting those bands. There's something fun about it, and it keeps you going.
Oh, yeah, you need that, like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I don't want to listen to anyone's advice,
Yeah.
which is the greatest. Oh, man. And I feel like it's funny. I feel like I'm trying to get back to that all the time, like, what was... But, no, and we were actually doing, like, it was going really well for a while, and then we kind of
What was
terrible. Fell off a
what
cliff.
happened? Who was it? It wasn't you. It was the other guys.
It's definitely the other guys. It wasn't me at all.
Of course.
Not my fault. No, but we had the experience where we were kind of plugging along, and yeah, I don't even, in hindsight, I'm not sure I don't think we really did much wrong. But the first record that we made sort of kicked us back a little bit for some reason.
Interesting.
It was, yeah. I mean, we had this weird thing where we were playing and gaining great notoriety, and we'd made our own demo tapes on cassette.
Old school.
Old school, and we sold like a lot of them. Even for then, it was like 10,000 or something like that.
It's definitely a lot. That's a lot now.
Now that's like a gold record,
Yeah,
then, even then, it was like, it was enough to where I remember when the cassettes were starting to really sell out, and then record stores. We lived in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Record stores outside of our city started like finding us, and before the internet and all that, being like, can we get some cassettes?
Can we get some cassettes? I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then suddenly we went to play a show, and it was like, if a bomb went off at the show, the record industry would have been gone. It's like every A&R person and Rolling Stone and all that, like back then in the early 90s, like,
Yeah, it was a big deal.
we were like right in there. And, when we, did our, an indie record deal, that was really exciting and promising. And then for whatever reason, we made this cool, the record we wanted to make, really. And it just didn't resonate. And
Was the label pushing it properly? Did you guys have qualms with any of that, or was anyone kind of... I know that bands can kind of get in the way of that sometimes.
I think, no, that's a great question, because the interesting thing that happened was we were this, like, we were a live band, and that's, back then, I guess that's what we were.
Yes.
And that was exciting. And so their sort of vision, without really communicating it, was that we would just capture the live energy and record really quickly, and that would be...
Should be fine. Doesn't always work that way.
Should be
does
fine,
it?
but of course we were like, no, we want to make, we want to make good vibrations, and we're like...
Oh, so you guys overcooked it in the studio.
So we fucked ourselves over, and we were like, no, we can't, we need 3 weeks, not 5 days. Like, this is a...
Wasn't the Rage Against the Machine first album 5 days, they say? Should have gone with that.
Probably. They were. I'm sure they were right, and they should have... Interesting times, because they were like, well, I mean, we can afford it, so I guess go for it.
And you guys would have been, I mean, every young band's heavily opinionated, aren't they?
Yeah, and they just decided to trust us, but it's interesting looking back on it, like they could have said, that's the next record, but this one is key. It has to be this way, and this is why. But I remember them just saying it was... I'm sure their intentions, were good, but it's like, you're a baby band. Like, what the fuck is that? Basically, they're saying you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to make a record and go on tour, and then, kind of like pay some dues and eke your way up the ladder.
That's quite nice, thinking about a label that actually kind of wants to foster and nurture you, because that doesn't seem like it exists anymore at all. It's just, how can we get this done quick and fast, and then if it doesn't work, cast you aside and sign the next hot young artist.
Oh yeah, we were so fortunate we didn't know it because that's all there was, but there were just different levels on the scale of nurturing.
Sure.
So we didn't, we were like just judging it that way. But then the Achilles heel was we did 2 records on the big indie label called Caroline. And then it was like time to sign to the major label.
Those ones, the indie ones, aren't on Spotify. I tried to have a look, and then I think was there 4 records all up or something like that? Maybe there's a few more without you. Did you leave?
There's loads without me. Yeah, I left.
Think the first few aren't there.
Yeah, I'm on the first 2, and I think the first one that was so disappointing to us is the one that if there's a little tiny cult of fans, that's the one
That's the one. Okay.
Yeah, like I saw it in Australia and was like somebody sent me a picture they found in a record store. It was like $50 for the vinyl. I was like,
nice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so
still got it.
there is a little something there.
I got to hear it. I got to check it out.
I mean, I don't know, but it was very like.
What year are we talking there?
We're talking, I think, probably 92.
92. The golden era. Music died after Cobain, man.
Dude. Telling you, man. But yeah, and then we signed to Sony.
Okay.
And it was so, like, to me, that was like, we're goners. Like, they're the worst. They're gonna throw us under the bus. Like, why aren't we signing to?
They're still kind of the worst a wee bit, aren't they? I don't know if you're going to upset people by saying.
Oh
that
yeah,
on the
no. I barely know about the record industry, but yeah, I just figured now the record industry is just sort of like, people coming. No one has their job for more than like a year or 2.
No, not at all. Sony's always, in Australia, definitely has been the most lame of mainstream music.
Right.
Always.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe it's just been like that the whole time.
I think so, yeah. I mean, but it was like they were trying really, really hard at the time to have a division that was more like artsy, if it were. And it was so interesting. It was us and Jeff Buckley, and I don't remember, there was 1 or 2 others. But naturally, like, Jeff Buckley was the one who kind of stuck around, and they were cutthroat. They smashed us and whoever else were supposed to be the, we're gonna like nurture these bands and like.
Did that sort of leave you pretty bummed out?
Well, you know what though, I had already left the band.
Okay.
I had already like had whatever other issues you have
In a band.
In a band, and then
Yeah.
like.
I
Oh my God, I hate who we signed to, and then
How many of you in the band were there?
and it was 3-piece.
Okay, 3 blokes.
It was actually two guys and a girl, and the other 2 were a couple. So
There are always a couple in the band, aren't they?
they kind of became a couple later.
Yeah.
Later on, and that's when I was sort of like, got pushed aside, or I'm not getting enough attention. I'm leaving. But no, by that point, no, a funny thing happened where we all were in Minneapolis, and we were going to move to either LA or New York. And I just ended up moving back to LA because I got a place to live and it looked sweet. And then like that week I met Beck and started playing with him basically.
Nice.
And then like my other 2 bandmates just kind of never, it's like kind of expecting them to come to LA. And I think they eventually did for like a sort of writing session that didn't work out. And then they moved to New York, which I guess I probably knew they were going to do, but that's like the that's the killer right there. Like I was in LA, they were in New York, and then
And you're playing with Beck.
I was loving playing with Beck.
Yeah.
I really loved it, and I just saw the writing on the. I kind of damned myself with my band, with Walt Mink. It was like, we're gonna get dropped by Sony anyway.
Beck had done the first record. What's that one called again?
Mellow Gold.
Mellow Gold. Yes. And then it said you were on Did you play on Odelay?
A little bit, but it's mostly like the producers doing that.
Yeah, that's all quite
Beats.
beats. Yeah, 90s sample beat style.
So cool though.
It's very, very cool.
And yeah. And
Were
I
you
was
in the
just-
live band as well?
Yeah, I was in the live band, and then.
Did you come to New Zealand?
Yes.
Like 95, 6, 7, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Wellington Town Hall.
95. Yes.
Yeah.
Great memories.
I was there for that one, I'm pretty sure. And I remember, did they have the horses' heads on and everything? I just remember,
we would have.
Yeah. I remember Beck just yelling lots of things, like saying that the freaks come out at night and just calling everyone friend. It was just
Yes.
one of the greatest things I'd ever seen.
So good. And that might have been a bit later, but yes.
Yeah. It may have been a wee bit later.
I loved it, and we loved. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Touring around with Beck, that was the best time.
I guess once you join something like that as well, and it's so much fun, it's hard to have the drive to start your new, fresh band with your friends that you're going to take over the world with again once you start getting a taste of that life.
Yeah, that's what happened for sure, and I just loved I loved playing his music. I was like, oh my God, this is
of course
exactly what I liked at the time. But and now it's obviously still like
he's still great.
But I was like, wow, you nailed it. But I think I struggled because it was like his thing that he developed, and and I was like never going to be, in his quote, band.
Mm-hmm.
I was always going to be like his side musician.
Yeah,
It's
always like that with those artists.
Yeah, which was normal, but I was, I think that made me gun shy and scared, and I'm like, what am I going to do when I grow up? It's like, it's like, oh, I can't be Beck's drummer forever. Like he's gonna move on, or he's gonna decide not to, he's gonna decide to only do like film scores or something.
Yeah, he'll do the acoustic tour or something, and then you just cast aside a wee bit.
Totally, and I never, and then like in those early days, I never. It's like we were great friends, but I always felt like the distance from the career, which is
of course,
totally understandable. But at the time, I was like, shit, this is not going to get me where I need to be.
So where to from there then? What's the
R.E.M. But I didn't. I mean, well, no, actually, I was. No, and I think about it, it's like I was playing with Beck on tour, and then we played some shows with the Smashing Pumpkins, and then the next thing I knew, I was.
This was your few weeks with the Smashing Pumpkins.
That was my few
about
weeks
the other day. Yeah,
totally. So then
that crazy period of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, the Adore, like
After.
recording with them, and then I find myself in getting a weird phone call that seemed like it was maybe a prank, saying, this is so-and-so from the R.E.M. office. Would you be available to fly to Athens, Georgia to meet with the band? Here are some dates. And it was kind of like that, and it almost sounded like, like a telemarketing call or something. And it was like, And I just kind of played along with it. I was like, I think February 8th to the 10th would work for me. Like, okay, can you tell me your address? Here's my address. And that was it. And then weeks went by, and then there was a FedEx envelope that arrived with an itinerary.
Wow.
And then suddenly I was in Athens, Georgia, like hanging out with R.E.M.
Had you done a little bit of practice beforehand just in case the phone call was real?
Yeah, I was like listening back through everything and like freaking out and not know. And I did in the call. I was like, it's like, what will we be doing? I'm like, we're not really, we don't know, and we're not really gonna. We've decided we don't want to give any specific information. So it was
their drummer had left. Was he a bit older? Is that what happened?
He was like in the an original founding member.
Yeah.
But he had a brain aneurysm.
Yikes.
Which he survived. But anyway, after that, he just quit the band. Which
very sensible.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I should have done that years ago. I wish I did.
And and so then suddenly I'm out there. I'm like recording on their record.
Wow.
Jamming with them, and then they end up using the jam for like a movie for a song for a movie about Andy Kaufman.
Another one.
And and then they called, and the manager called and said, do you want to do it? Which I thought, I remember I have a journal entry somewhere flying back being like, well, that was a cool experience. That's amazing. Like, that's one for the books. I'll be telling people about this, for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And then, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be playing with them.
How did they hear about you?
That's still kind of mysterious to me. I did have like a manager guy at the time, who's cool, who maybe he had somehow like put the word out to them.
Yeah.
In some weird way, but like, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just from being on tour, but I wasn't like very actively like saying I need to get out of I need to find something else. But it maybe, I don't know. I mean, the Smashing Pumpkins one was really weird. Because that was just...
Band's always weird.
Well, I remember I was on tour in Australia with Beck, and the phone rings in my hotel room, because it's 1990, whatever, and I'm like, pick it up, and I'm like, hey, is this Joey? Yeah, this is James Iha. Oh, hey, what's up? He's like, it's like 11 a.m. there? I'm like, yeah. It's like, oh, cool. I'm sorry if I'm calling you too early. Do you want to record with us? I think you get home on January 23rd or something.
Wow.
Like, okay. Shit. It's too bad those days are gone. That was so much better than, getting like an
email and the text message and all that. Yeah. It makes the story way better when you say I was at the hotel and I got the phone call, rather than I was taking a shit and was looking on my phone, checking my email.
I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I know, those are like still in bed because we were on tour in Australia. My wife was with me. We'd been, out like eating amazing food and probably, drinking.
Hope so.
For sure. Drinking like great wine, and like it was so special. Damn.
Sound like the Roger Waters tour was pretty special too.
Yeah,
Getting
that was
very
the
well
best.
looked after.
That was so fun. Yeah, I'm still processing it.
Mm-hmm. Tony was telling me about meeting R.E.M in France for their album or something, and spending a few days, and then them kind of just going, "Oh, we've had some wine. We're going to start tomorrow." Is that the story?
Absolutely no. I've like all these great experiences. Yes, recording. They're like, "Do you want to come to Paris for 3 months to work with us? We want to work Monday through Friday, 2 to 7." Like,
yes, I'll take the gig.
Like, that's like that was specified before anything. Like it's like that's the best. Like, and
So
then like
French.
so like we'll rent you a house, which they did, and like here I am like living in Paris, recording with Air. Yeah, and then sometimes they'd be like, oh, I have to go to lunch today. It's going to be a big lunch, and then it'd be like, oh, I don't want to work because I'll just have had a big meal and drunk wine, and it's just not really worth it.
Fuck, I wish I could get away with that.
But I mean, like they could have also said, do you want to come out to Paris for 4 weeks and we'll do a record and play a few shows, and instead it was 3 months.
Did you play shows with them as well?
Yes.
Where was that?
We played several shows, actually. They were...
That's Pocket Symphony? Was that when you're doing it? Or?
No, it was after that. It was called Love 2.
Oh, yeah. I know the record.
Yeah, and they were... Basically, they were testing out the waters of playing as a duo with a drummer. I mean, a trio, but they had always had, like, kind of big bands. And the idea was, like, can we just do this with a drummer? Be much more efficient and,
Would they have backing track stuff in there? Or they're both just working really hard?
They were just... I think that there was stuff, like, sample pad stuff that I had. But, yeah, they were just, like, playing multiple instruments, and it was really cool.
I mean, I love those guys. They're brilliant.
It was brilliant, yeah. So we did Paris and a bunch of shows in weird places like Beijing where they had never gone, and they'd never been able to go because they would have lost, so much money.
Taking all the crew and everybody and all the band members, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so...
It's a real shame that... I hate that's the case.
I know.
That's still very much the case for a lot of people.
More than ever, right?
Yeah, that's why there's just so much backing track music going on now. It just doesn't quite feel the same.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I appreciate it. It's still cool, but especially when people do it
when
really
they get
well.
it right, yeah, it's its own thing, and it can be very special, obviously.
But there's still like, yeah, for me, and I don't know, when you add live to that or just do a live show, it's like so tangible.
Yeah, even just having a real human drummer playing on your recorded music. I mean, even that session we did the other day, it's just... Mm-hmm. So, I've met the last things that I've been making, the guy I was working with made a lot of computer drums. And he's very, very good at it, and some of them were amazing, but just nothing beats the human.
Oh, like, see?
And a great human like yourself, Joey, of course. Someone who knows exactly how to do it.
There's room for everything.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I know, I've always... I fear the drum machine and the tracks and stuff, and
that hasn't meant less phone calls or emails for you, though, has it? The work's still coming in.
No, it's fine. I'm not.
You're going to be okay.
And now I honestly do. There is less work for me as a drummer, as a session drummer or whatever. But it's weird. It's like I'm okay with it though. I'm like, it's fine. And and there is a room for live drummers. Like, I'm like trying to convince myself. But
no, there is, and I guess if you've been playing with, the great artists that you have, then you're in a realm still where people have budgets and are willing to pay the money to get someone like yourself to come and do it.
And the big mistake that I've made in the past along those lines, which I still have to check myself and people who I talk to, they're like, so what are your plans? What are you up to?
Who's asking you that?
A lot of people. Like,
okay.
From family members to,
Certainly.
But, I always say, you know what? I have the opportunity to just hang out. I just was on tour for 21 months and, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's
I don't
great.
think you need any plans for a little while.
No, I keep telling everyone, like, and in my band with Roger, I'm like, the worst thing is when when you do something that special and you've done other things, is to then freak out and worry and be like, oh my God, what am I going to be doing next month? Like, you're still in that mindset that you still have something to prove, and you're still going to, like, not be able to pay the bills. And that's when you end up doing cheesy shit.
Where do you draw the line on the cheesy shit? Can you name names? Maybe you don't have to.
I don't have to anymore, because from where I stand, from where I came from in my 20s, like, pop culture now is so cheesy, to be quite honest.
Yep.
I have no problem saying that. It's like I used to have a lot. It was so much fun. I would play drums on, like, pop songs in the 2000s, and it was great fun. And and I might not be like, oh, this is not my passion at all, or like I'm a little embarrassed about whatever, playing on a big pop generic pop record. But I don't know, it was really fun. And then I would go and, like, work on
something cool. And I mean, now that, I don't know, I mean, I'll just continue to do that, but now it's hard to, like, base like an income on that. You wouldn't have much songwriting on anything over the years? It's all just sort of a fee that you get paid to turn up and do your thing?
Yeah, and I've produced stuff, and then I've collaborated, like the Atoms for Peace, and then I have my band called Ultraista.
Yeah, I was watching.
So yeah, we'll do stuff later in the year for sure.
Yeah, cool.
But and we have a record coming out. But yeah, aside from that, when I'm playing, like, recording with people, it's just they just send you a check, basically. But I don't know, I definitely had issues with that. It was like, I'd rather be in a band, but
there's a lot of bullshit you're missing out on by not being in the band, which is a great place for you to be.
That's so well put. I know, it's like, okay, I didn't get the, like, wow, I was a huge rock star and I made my millions or whatever. But I was never in rehab. I've been married once, and we're still married.
It's all good so far.
It's all good.
Strong checklist. Do you have big plans for Ultraista? Or it's more just fun for you guys, or...
I think that we have a record coming out.
Is that number 2?
This will be number 2.
Yeah.
And it's on, a label called Partisan is helping us.
Okay.
So that's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be fun, and I think we just see what happens. I think the three of us are all kind of busy doing our other things. So there isn't a lot of, like, it's either going to be fun and or, like, if there's a necessity. So, like, we're not going to just, like, get in a van and go on a 6-week tour.
Of course.
But
not after you're just on the jet.
That's a good point. But it's going to be really fun. So if there's like a, I don't know, I think we'll do stuff. We'll do some cool little shows here and there, and then probably I think probably some festivals over the summer.
Yeah. So it's Nigel Godrich, yourself. I didn't know her. Is it Emma? Am I making that up? Or is it Emily? The woman in the band.
It's Laura Bettinson.
Oh my God, where did I get Emma from?
No. That's funny. One of her good friends is Emma. But anyway.
I usually get that stuff right, but I'm going to edit this out.
yeah, you can. Yeah, that's
I don't edit
genius.
much of the podcast, but I'll edit that bit out so I look way smarter. But now that I've said this and we've giggled, I'll probably just keep it in.
Right.
Okay, so that's
All right.
happening.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, I've got a solid couple of months. I think probably until the summer.
What haven't you done yet that you still want to do? When are you going to retire? Does it have...
Oh, yes.
Do you see it?
I know that I'll never retire.
Okay.
I know this to be the fact. I know that I think the thing for me was that I always wanted to be more than just like the drummer guy, or at a certain point I wanted to be more than, it's like I'm not going to be a rock star in a band, so I better find some other things, and got, kind of dipped my toe into production here and there, and
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll do continue because I like to do that as well.
But you're getting more into mixing and producing, that kind of world?
Yeah, and I mix stuff even, which is so strange, but I have whatever. And I'm sure that'll continue. But I think when I'm like an old geezer in 20, 30 years or whatever, like I'll still be playing drums.
Because you love it.
Because I love it. I realized I finally figured out, like, oh my God, I love it. It's just fun and cool, and and apparently it's good. It staves off things like Alzheimer's
Okay.
and dementia.
Drumming or just music?
I mean, I was told by, I should back this up by reading a little bit.
No, not at all.
But I met,
Just say it.
Yes, I met this. There was like a kind of like a rock and roll doctor on
The rock doctor.
a rock doc on
Rock doc.
who came out somewhere on the Roger Waters tour, and I don't know what he was giving me a flu shot or something, and he's like, oh yeah, I've been playing drums. I'm like, good for you, man. Like that's great. And he said, no, there's new research that backs up that drumming, by using your four limbs independently, it fires off stuff in your neurological stuff that will keep you from getting dementia or Alzheimer's. He's like, so don't quit drumming.
I'm not doing that on the guitar. I'm just wiggling my fingers.
You gotta get your feet into the game.
Well,
man.
if I'm playing piano with both my hands, doing the foot pedal on the piano and singing, does that count?
I think so. I'm just gonna say it does.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
I mean, I know from having a kid that like music and just movement in general has so much benefits for learning and cognitive stuff in general.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one of the questions I kind of ask people, is what they think music is offering to the planet or the people or art in general. And I guess I'd never even considered those health benefits, or just the sort of soothing nature of all of it.
that's so true, and I never would have thought of it that way before I
Met the rock dog.
met the rock dog and was a parent. I'm like, what do I do with my kid with music? Do I like force him to take piano lessons, or
Is he interested? Is he whacking on things, or?
he's not super into it, but I think he's
Still pretty young.
still pretty young, and he's definitely interested.
Did your parents sort of force it on you, or you were around your dad making records probably?
It's the same thing. Yeah, I was around it a lot, and but my parents tell me that my dad's story is that I was kind of doing it from a freakishly young age. I was like keeping time on things, and it was his good story. It's so name droppy, but fuck it.
Come on, it's all right.
Was that he didn't pick up on it. He just thought like, oh my God, this kid's just always like banging on shit, and it's irritating or something. And he said Randy Newman was over playing him some new songs so this would be like 1971 or something like that. And Randy was like, "Do you see what's going on?" And there's like me in diapers playing bongos, and my dad said, "What do you mean? Is he, I'll try and get rid of him. I don't know what to do. I don't have a sitter. My wife's." He said, "No, check it out." And he started playing the song. He's like, he's playing along. He's playing in time. And,
so you like Tiger Woods? Yeah. from a very, very young age.
Yes. But yeah.
Minus the adultery.
Never quite hit those heights, or lows. But yeah, that was apparently I was always just like banging on shit.
It was in there from the beginning.
So, but I never really got serious about it until I was a teenager.
Yeah, I think it's the same with music. I was into it, but that's when you start to actually focus on something that you are personally enjoying and on a bit of a mission. Because I guess when you're a kid, you sort of, friends are doing things, or your parents go, "Oh, why don't you try this?" or so on and so forth. But yeah, I guess being a teenager is when you start to see what the destiny.
Yeah, and it just all makes more sense.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll see. I wonder what my kid will be into. He's definitely got the drum set. I feel like he spends more time on the piano. That's more interesting to him. But I don't know. Like you said, he's really young, and we're not like forcing anything on him.
Good way to do it. Just let it be.
Yeah,
he'll realize you're cool one day.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Joey Waronker, super cool guy. Really glad to have connected with him and hopefully get to work with him and see him in action a bunch more in the future. I put a few links to some of his work in the podcast description. There's a video of him playing with Atoms for Peace, which is awesome, and also him performing with his band Ultra Easter. Check out that band. Those guys are really cool. That's it. I think that'll do us for this week. I think every few weeks it seems to be that I'm putting the episode out. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here, and we'll be back soon with more episodes. Take care. See you later.